Dear delegates, esteemed chairs, Honorable Secretary General and President of the General Assembly, fellow guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to welcome you to our 6th Humunited edition and 2nd online edition. My name is Eduardo Marinho Gerhardt. I am an Abitur student of the Colégio Humboldt, and I'm going to be your Master of Ceremonies for today's opening ceremony. In this regard, I would like to express my thanks to Colégio Humboldt for enabling this project to happen, and so the cultural interconnection between Brazil, Germany, and several other countries. First of all, let us listen to the anthems of Brazil and Germany. I hope you can hold your excitement for just a few more minutes, because we have some people that would like to speak to you firstly. I am pleased to announce and welcome both teachers responsible for the MUN project in our school, Carolina Belo and Aline Viana, who would like to share some words with you. Dearest teachers, the floor is all yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. After months planning this conference, the week has finally arrived. I, Carolina Belo, geography teacher of Humboldt die Deutschschule in São Paulo, and Aline Viana, our English teacher, are very pleased to welcome you all to this conference.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you all here this morning. Firstly, we would like to thank our principals, Luciano Egevart and Marion Kroos, as well as our vice principals, Eric Herner and Dick Barkhausen, and our high school coordinators, Talita Marcilia and Martin Abend, for supporting us with everything we needed to make this conference happen. We would also like to remember that it's a conference made by students and for students, which started in 2015 due to the efforts of students and two former Humboldt teachers, Arne Mebus and Daniele Toledo. This year, our President of the General Assembly is Tomás Danelon, and our Secretary General is Nicole von Bauer, and both have been working hard for months for this event. They have also counted with talented under-secretaries that are very committed to Humunited.
We also want to thank our invited students and advisors from Colégio Porto Seguro, Colégio Imperatriz Leopoldina, Escola do Futuro, Escola Suíço-Brasileira, Colégio Dumont Vilares, from São Paulo, Colégio Porto Seguro, from Valinhos, Colégio Siddhartha, from Cotia, Escola Suíço-Brasileira, from Curitiba, Escola Corcovado, from Rio de Janeiro, Instituto Ivoti, from Ivoti, Colégio Pestalozzi, from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Instituto Educativo Olinka, from Mexico City, Mexico. Last but not least, we would like to say that we are very proud of our Humboldt students, who add up to more than 100 participants in this Model United Nations and will be participating actively, speaking English and showing their geopolitical and diplomatic skills during this event. We wish you all a great conference.
Thank you, Carol and Aline, for your kind words. Now, the high school coordinator, Talita Marcilia, is eager to welcome you all to today's conference. Dearest coordinator, please take the floor.
Dear students from our school, dear students from invited schools, welcome. I'd like to thank the teachers that together with the organizing team worked tremendously so this event could be held. It is with great honor that I speak to you on this day. Conferences such as Humunited are of great importance on the development of the 21st century skills. Communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking are present here today. Understanding how the nations act and why they do so is fundamental to changing the world. I do hope this exercise of diplomacy, decision-making, and negotiation can influence the choices that you make after graduating high school. Without further ado, I wish you all a great Humunited 2021. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your motivational and encouraging words, Talita. Now, I am most pleased to call our guest speaker, Heloisa Miura, the Senior Protection Assistant of the UN Refugee Agency, who would like to share some words with you. Dearest Heloisa, the floor is all yours.
Good morning, dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this invitation. I'm very glad to be here with you today. I'm speaking from Brasilia, where I have been living for the past 4 years in my position here at UNHCR. I'm very glad about the fact that so many students are interested in the history of UNHCR, in the way the United Nations work. And I'm also very happy that so many students from Brazil are taking part in this activity because we need more Brazilians in the United Nations system, be it nationally or internationally. So I'm going to share with you a few words about myself, my career, hoping that it may inspire you somehow, and give you motivation to continue to pursue your studies, your research, your dreams, and your work. So I am also from São Paulo. I have known Colégio Humboldt for a while as well, and I studied law at university. I didn't know at the beginning that I was going to end up in the UN, but I always knew that I wanted to make something important for my life. And during my studies at university, I realized that international law was a very interesting field of study, and that in international law there was there were so many opportunities and possibilities, be it for the academic side or for the professional side. I'm talking about the humanitarian field. I'm talking about research. So I realized that it was for me, and then I started to pursue my dreams in international law and in the United Nations, to start to understand how the United Nations really worked, because I didn't know. I only knew the name UN. I didn't know what it meant, how it worked, how many people were there. I didn't know anything about that. So I continued my studies. I did a master's in France in international relations and human rights. So it was very useful and interesting, and also very important to expand um, my views on the world. And I could know so many people from different countries. And I think this is already an opportunity that you have in your student life. So you can keep this curiosity about the world, because there are so many different cultures and languages. And once you get to know different people, you can't get enough. You want more. So this was what I studied in France, human rights, and I also could start to understand a little bit more about migration, about refugees, because 10 years ago when I was in university, I didn't study refugee law. I didn't know there was an array of knowledge about that. So after I finished my master's, I started an internship in the headquarters of the United Nations in New York City, which was quite shocking, because I could see what the UN meant, what that building meant. And I could go there every day and get to know all the functioning and the way people negotiated treaties, the way people negotiated bilateral meetings, be it in a round table, in a big meeting, or what we call the corridor diplomacy, when the diplomats they negotiate bilaterally, and this can change the way that geopolitics work, right? So it was a very, very important experience for me. Um, After that, I lived in South Africa. I worked for an NGO there, and I think this only motivated me even more to continue in this path that you are already in. So finally, I started working here in Brasilia at UNHCR, and my life changed. So I think I have already said that to some of the students, but um, you can be so many things. You can study so many things and join the UN. We have not only lawyers as me, but we have engineers. We need architects to um, design a shelter. We need officers in logistics because some agencies in the UN they deal with supply chain and they buy food in bulk to distribute to people who don't have food. So it is a very, very wide network that we have, and all the professions that you can imagine are here. I think it's important for me to share with you some of the stories that were important in my career in the United Nations. And I mentioned my experience in New York City, which is somehow quite similar to the experience that you have here in this activity. But I think I want to share with you something that I never imagined could happen. And a few years ago, I was working here in Brazil, in my own country, and we were responsible for opening a shelter. I had never opened a shelter before, but we also had some international experts who were deployed here to support the national team. And we had a specific amount of spots in the shelter, meaning we didn't have spots for everyone who needed to be sheltered. And there were many people from a specific country living on the streets, and we needed to relocate them from the streets to this shelter. And on the first day, not everyone could go. There was a lot of logistics involved, but the human side was very, very strong for me because the satisfaction that you have when you are doing a technical work with a human touch is incredible. But the flip side, the other side of the coin, is also very difficult because we had to leave a lot of people there in a specific part of the streets, and they didn't know when they would be able to be sheltered. So it was quite heartbreaking. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when you choose this path, you need to be prepared for what comes ahead. And I think that as high level students, you are on the right path. And the fact that you are doing this incredible research and this incredible activity is very, very inspiring for me. And I wanted to share with you just this touch of the human side of my work, because I think that the research part and the intellectual part, you are already more developed than me. But there are things that you only learn when you live it. And I was struck in that moment when we had to shelter some people and leave some other people for the next week. So I wanted to share with you this because when you study UNHCR or the UN system, you are studying a system that is about peace, that is about development, that is about harmony among all the countries and all the peoples in the world. And the human part of it cannot be forgotten. So I think this is my touch of wisdom for you. I hope you have a very good ceremony, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
We express our gratitude, Elisa, for your brilliant words. It is time to introduce you to all the topics that will appear in the different committees. Therefore, our press team in a joint effort with the chair's contribution, prepared amazing videos to present some major international issues that our delegates are willing to resolve. I found the topics pretty interesting, and I am sure you also like them. Enjoy the videos.
The United Nations has been attacked by an international hacker group, which puts world peace in danger. The situation is very serious and urges an immediate solution. Therefore, the President of the General Assembly himself has sent a letter to all countries present in this council, requesting their collaboration in order to solve this problem.
Dear delegates, the General Assembly of the United Nations would like to summon the international community to participate in an extraordinary session on the 9th, 10th, and 11th of June to discuss measures to reassure international cybersecurity. This has become an urgent matter since the United Nations has been attacked and blackmailed by a terrorist hacker group. Unfortunately, the United Nations was not able to gather much information on the group. It is known that they are a self-proclaimed terrorist group that goes under the name NEO and is financially supported by an unknown government. Besides this, an official draft has been received, in which the group exposed their main goal of creating international disorder, aiming to assume an important international role. According to their drafts, this is just the beginning, and all countries will sooner or later be virtually attacked, and much confidential information will be leaked. Thus, the only way to ensure the safety and the proper functioning of the United Nations in the future is through international cooperation. The future of international peace and collaboration depends on this. Sincerely, Tomás Anelon, President of the
We are NEO. We don't know exactly how powerful we are. With the information that we currently have in our hands, we're capable of creating complete international chaos. Be aware that this is just the beginning, and all the countries will soon or later be virtually attacked. Much more confidential information will be leaked. Hurra!
The Security Council has primary responsibility under the United Nations Charter for the maintenance of international peace and security. It is supposed to ensure world peace and prevent security crises, and it has been doing an admirable job so far. However, there has been a huge disturbance in world peace ever since the separation of India and Pakistan into independent states. As a consequence, a territorial dispute was originated over the region of Kashmir, which has been escalating intensely. Hence, a total of 3 wars have taken place, as well as many other armed encounters.
The Kashmir conflict has been occurring since 1947 and has caused the deaths of over 68,000 people. It has created an atmosphere of terror in a place that used to be considered an earthly paradise. With the COVID-19 crisis, the conflict has evolved, and an opportunity to end it might have presented itself through the action of the UN. Therefore, it is crucial that this conflict is addressed and peace is brought to Kashmir after being in conflict for over 7 decades. Hereby, we urge you to try and bring back Kashmir's heavenly trademarks by debating and eventually agreeing on a fair resolution.
It's March 23, 1973. The increasing polarization of the Cold War has threatened world peace for years. In fact, dictatorships limited human rights in some places. there was no peace in countries such as Korea and Sudan. Vietnam has also been under attack for 18 years. To flee the danger in Vietnam, many people left their homes without any assistance, and it's predicted that after the war ends, a lot more are going to try to escape the terrible economical and political conditions that the war would have left as consequences.
Thankfully, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is joining international forces, despite the polarization, to help those people in need. The Vietnam crisis is only beginning. How the delegates are dealing with this issue now and the structure they are going to build for the future is going to determine the fate of thousands of refugees. Each of you is going to represent a country, fighting for its own interests, trying to find a solution. It is up to you, as representatives of your countries, to take responsibility for this atrocity and to save those people's lives.
During the last year, the whole world went through what felt like a sci-fi movie. The rising of the new coronavirus disease put us all through some chaotic times in which the world population had no choice other than watch million people suffer while staying at home and changing our ways of life. Although the coronavirus pandemic seems quite unique, situations such as this one have happened many times before. Looking back in history, we remember the West African Ebola epidemic, the H1N1 swine flu pandemic, the AIDS pandemic, the Spanish flu, and the list goes on.
These pandemics put us all through rough times, such as the one we live today. A great part of the world population died in each and every one of these pandemics, and it is clear that the protocols we have established in the past no longer work or keep us safe. It is crucial that we adapt ourselves to the present. The WHO committee gathers delegates this year to find a way to establish protocols to prevent future pandemics from happening, keeping the human race safe and sound.
The Economic and Social Council, one of the 6 principal organs of the United Nations, is responsible for the direction and coordination of the economic, social, humanitarian, and cultural activities carried out by the UN. It is the UN's largest and most complex subsidiary body. The Economic and Social Council is at the heart of the United Nations system to advance the 3 dimensions of sustainable development: economic, social, and environmental. It is the central platform for fostering debate and innovative thinking, forging consensus on ways forward, and coordinating efforts to achieve internationally agreed goals. It is also responsible for the follow-up to major UN conferences and summits.
In the last 50 years, we have seen a huge shift in our global trade to e-commerce, due to the innovative advances in technology, as in our computers and online market. E-commerce has made selling and acquiring a product much faster and cheaper, while giving access to a broader group of people. However, it has its own share of problems. Illicit trade has therefore become predominantly easier to achieve through anonymous software and programs that secure the dark market. The largest issue with illicit trade is that it costs governments up to $40 or $50 billion annually in lost tax revenues, which could have been correctly invested into the community. The effects of e-commerce and the rise of illicit trade is a recurring worldwide issue that has to be discussed and dealt with.
The Human Rights Council, established in 2006 to replace the Commission on Human Rights, is an intergovernmental body within the United Nations responsible for strengthening the promotion and protection of human rights around the globe, and also for addressing situations of human rights violations. In the Humunited Conference, it will be our goal to unfold strategies to combat institutionalized racism in developed and developing countries, a very current and important topic. In the Council, we're going to debate on how to find solutions and allocate resources in order to achieve our goal. Institutionalized racism has been defined by Willie McPhersonis as the collective failure of an organization to provide an appropriate and professional service to people because of their color, culture, or ethnic origin. It can be seen or detected in processes, attitudes, and behavior that amount to discrimination through prejudice, ignorance, thoughtlessness, and racist stereotyping, which disadvantages minority ethnic people.
It is imperative to keep in mind not only the current situation regarding the topic, but also all the historical context behind it. The purpose of this topic is to show the importance of debating how rooted racism is in our society and what we can do to help change that. An example of that is even in countries like the United States, when segregation, employment, discrimination were made illegal by the Civil Rights Act of 1964, racism didn't end. The American Academy of Family Physicians, AAFP, recognized that racism is a system that categorizes people based on race, color, ethnicity, and culture to differentially allocate society goods and resources in a way that unfairly disadvantages some, while without merit regard others. All in all, even though systemic and institutionalized racism has been reportedly decreasing, is not enough and is still at large and present all over the world. We can't keep going like this. A change has to be made now.
In such a diverse world with several different cultures, the environment is one of the things that brings us together. A healthy environment is crucial to everyone's and the world's well-being, and therefore we must protect it. UNEP was created to achieve this. In the last 40 years, countries have created more and more environmental laws, signed treaties and agreements to try to solve the upcoming environmental crisis.
As Inger Anderson said, the Paris Agreement is a historical treaty and represents the world's best hope at tackling the challenge of climate change. But as the years passed, it is perceptible that even with several new environmental agreements and policies, environmental problems such as deforestation persist. Therefore, the weak enforcement and implementation of those is seen by UNEP as an environmental threat, since with no proper implementation of laws, deforestation will just keep growing, impacting climate change. Hereby, we invite you to debate about the proper implementation of agreements, treaties, and policies regarding deforestation, aiming to solve this topic properly.
Gender equality is not only a basic human right, but its achievement has enormous socioeconomic ramifications. Empowering women fosters thriving economies, spurring productivity and growth. Yet, gender inequalities remain deeply tangled within the roots of every society. Women lack access to decent work and face occupational segregation and gender wage gaps.
They are too often denied access to basic education and healthcare. Women in all parts of the world suffer violence and discrimination. So we ask you to participate in our council to debate and discuss all about these issues and understand what many women go through daily.
The nuclear bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki ended the Second World War almost as dark as its beginning. The power to destroy entire cities with just the energy of atoms is a major risk to life on Earth. As the great physicist Albert Einstein said, mankind invented the atomic bomb, but no mouse would ever construct a mousetrap.
With the discovery of a new weapon of mass destruction, many countries began to develop their nuclear weapons for war and political purposes. The fear of the end of humanity has become ceaseless. Then, the International Atomic Energy Agency was created to change the way of using atomic energy and, thus, try to promote its peaceful use.
The NPT was born from the same principle. It has become the promise of a more peaceful world. However, it did not guarantee the end of nuclear weapons. Many countries still use nuclear energy as a political weapon. Since the treaty was created, the number of countries that possess such military power and nuclear warheads has not decreased. Countries violated and abandoned the treaty. What was previously seen as something close and tangible has only become a distant and utopian dream.
At the IAEA Committee of Humunited 2021, the delegates will debate reinforcing the importance of the NPT and its principles. Here, they will look forward to creating measures to promote the peaceful use of nuclear energy, guarantee the end of an arms race, and, consequently, approach world peace.
I would like you to stay here with us just for a few minutes. And if you have to have your breakfast or eat something, please do it. But stay here, because we are almost done. Well, before starting the MUN conference, I should, of course, invite this year's Secretary General Nicole von Bauer and President of the General Assembly, Tomás Danilo, to welcome you all to today's conference. Secretary General, you have the floor.
Dear delegates, honorable chairs, and distinguished guests, welcome to the 6th edition of Humunited. I am Nicole von Bauer, and I'm your Secretary General at this year's conference. It is an honor and a privilege to stand before you today. The first time that I participated at Humunited or at any MUN conference at all was in this very same theater in 2018. I remember looking at everyone on stage and deeply admiring them. Now, 2021, I am one of those people, and I cannot help it but to feel extremely grateful for this opportunity. 9 committees, 18 chairs, over 170 delegates from 12 different schools and 3 different countries. I would have never imagined organizing an event of such magnitude and scope. Not to mention that the love that I have for this project is unmeasurable. I'm sure every experienced Muner knows what I'm talking about and shares this love. To all the first-timers, I hope you fall in love with this project and cherish it as much as I do. Because Humunited is not only an event, it is a chance to learn, make friends, and grow as a person. As I look back, I have developed a lot of skills, such as debating, communication, leadership, and people skills. Thanks to Humunited, I overcame the fear of public speaking, which helped me to gain confidence, getting out of my comfort zone, and believing that I'm able to achieve what I thought impossible. My MUN journey has led me to this moment, and I'm sure that this is not the end of it. Furthermore, the atmosphere in the council is truly amazing. Hence, I cannot wait to watch each one of you defending your country's position. I wish you all a great conference and a fruitful debate. But above all, remember to have fun and enjoy the moment, because it will be over sooner than you realize. The memories that I made here are unforgettable, and I hope you make your own wonderful memories too. I yield the floor back to the Master of Ceremony.
Thank you, Secretary General, for your inspiring words. Now, dearest President of the General Assembly, you have the floor.
Honorable chairs, distinguished delegates, and fellow guests. My name is Tomás Danelon, and I'm going to be your president of the General Assembly. It has been a pleasure for me to organize our biggest high school event for the last 3 years. And when I first joined the organizing team in 2019, I didn't know how powerful Humunited was. And I couldn't understand how a MUN event could influence our whole high school for almost a month. So I decided to take a look at our past. And that's when I remember Martin Luther King's Jr. quote: "We're not makers of history, we're made by history." And Humunited is made by its past chairs, advisors, delegates, and especially organizing team members. After taking a look at our beautiful 7-year history, I could understand how Humunited is actually a journey in which the most important high school project of our lives can also influence our future careers and university decisions. What makes Humunited so special is that our event is not planned by teachers, coordinators, or principals. Humunited is made by its own students, who have to renounce a lot of other hobbies to find a way in the middle of high school or abitur exams to organize it. To organize what for me is one of my biggest hobbies: provide happiness and new experience for other people. Planning Humunited for me is just like cooking, in which you can bake a good cake by following all the steps in a recipe, but you can only create something remarkable when doing it with love. And we, the students, are able to be the protagonists again, organizing, chairing, or debating in a conference with more than 200 participants. I wish you all the best during Humunited 2021 and hope that this conference will be as remarkable for you as it always is for me. Officially, I, the President of the General Assembly, declare the session open.
Thank you both for your energizing words. Since our President of the General Assembly already declared the session open, I wish you delegates and esteemed chairs a great and fruitful experience. You are all probably very nervous, just as I was during this open ceremony. But try to meet new people and have wonderful moments during these 3 days. Cheers, and see you at the closing ceremony.